When many people hear the word evaluation, it invokes an active fear. A fear that someone who doesn't know them and doesn't know their work is going to judge their performance and not give them an opportunity to defend their work against that judgment. I know the image I often have when I hear evaluation is of a person coming in with a clipboard, standing over me, taking notes, not letting me see those notes, and then giving those notes to my supervisor. The idea that evaluation is this unknown, this mystery, leads to more fear about what the practice of evaluation actually involves, which can lead to very few people being interested in training as evaluators to understand how evaluation can add value to community planning efforts. In tribal contexts, this fear is made even more intense because of the ways research and evaluation has been used through history to disadvantage and disempower tribal sovereignty over information. This history cannot be erased and will not be forgotten, but we can write a new narrative for ourselves about how we understand and use evaluation to strengthen our children, our families, and our communities in the future. This includes redefining our concept of rigor and investing in growing our own, developing evaluation practice from within our own communities. A work group was formed to consider how we should review the past to allow us to move forward, given the difficult history of evaluation and research in our communities. It included representatives from different agencies and perspectives, including tribal child welfare programs, evaluators with extensive experience in tribal contexts, university researchers working with American Indian and Alaska Native populations, technical assistance providers, and federal program partners from the Children's Bureau and other agencies within the Administration for Children and Families. This group engaged in a respectful and thoughtful dialogue of the history of research and evaluation in tribal contexts and the need for fundamental change in the way evaluation is practiced. As a result, the group chose to focus on promoting capacity in tribal evaluation and encouraging evaluation practice that is both culturally and scientifically rigorous. Work group discussions and brainstorming generated a roadmap for co-creating collaborative and effective evaluation to improve tribal child welfare programs. This roadmap provides a guide for promoting capacity in the tribal evaluation community and charts a course for building a new narrative in tribal evaluation. In order to understand how to move forward with evaluation practice, we must acknowledge how history has shaped current evaluation practice. There are two themes that emerge. Indigenous worldviews have been undervalued, and intergenerational trauma has had a devastating impact on our communities. Western-based evaluation activities have generally been imposed on us from the dominant culture and use standard Western approaches. These practices ignored our sovereign rights of tribal nations and failed to draw on our long traditions of successful evaluation strategies using Indigenous ways of knowing. In addition, many of our communities have been subjected to traumatic events that disrupted families, such as the impact of boarding schools and out-of-home placement and adoption of Native children from their tribal communities. These historical experiences have led many of our communities to revisit and reaffirm key values in order to move beyond this difficult history. Now, we as a working group have embraced these values as we consider this roadmap process. These values include Indigenous ways of knowing, respect for tribal sovereignty, a strengths-based focus, cultural integrity with scientific rigor, community engagement, ethical practices, and knowledge sharing. Just as these values anchor tribal communities, they should anchor our evaluations. Evaluation should be tailored to cultural context and responsive to cultural ways of life. Reflecting respect for all aspects of our cultural heritage and the unspoken promise toward our children underlies the values that are embedded in this roadmap. Respect for these values will be essential to the process of becoming culturally adept and maintaining cultural integrity in conducting evaluations. There are several stakeholders or partners who play important roles in evaluation of tribal child welfare programs. Program directors, tribal evaluators, evaluation partners, and program staff are often primary stakeholders in evaluation. They are at the heart of evaluation practice. Others collaborate with the primary stakeholders and provide support, guidance, and context for the evaluation process. Stakeholder collaboration is central to improving the priority areas identified in the roadmap, which are divided into two categories: relationship building, and knowledge and skill building. The work group identified 5 key priorities for relationship building, including successful evaluation practice requires community participation in determining priorities and creating meaningful evaluation questions. Evaluation should be anchored in cultural and ethical practices. Conversations with our community stakeholders ensure that evaluation plans honor cultural ways and respect our local values. Clear guidelines and examples of evaluation components are an important way for program directors and staff to see the benefits of program evaluation. They should help generate a shared agenda and purpose for the evaluation. Transparency in evaluation and translation for community is essential to building trust. Many of us have experienced evaluations that have been insensitive to local needs and in some cases have done direct harm to our communities. The work group also identified 6 key priorities for knowledge and skill building, including developing cultural protocols for community-engaged comprehensive evaluation ensures a foundation of evaluation that is both culturally and scientifically rigorous. Fortunately, recent efforts have produced models for community-engaged evaluation and research. Mentoring and technical assistance for evaluation design and implementation is critical for ensuring successful evaluations that involve our program staff and communities. Local staff may not be trained as evaluators or may find the requirements confusing and not applicable. If local staff and community members have opportunities to learn about the key components of evaluation and to share their expertise on local culture, they can help guide culturally rigorous evaluation protocols. Guidelines for selecting, adapting, developing, administering, and interpreting evaluation instruments help ensure meaningful evaluation results. There's a great deal of uncertainty about how to identify appropriate measures or instruments for use with Native children and families. Many standard measures, created and normed for the dominant U.S. population, are likely to work well for American Indian and Alaska Natives, but others are likely to provide misleading or incomplete information. In many tribal communities, information is communicated through storytelling, which provides an opportunity for staff and community members to interpret evaluation data. Evaluations are opportunities for us to give voice to our concerns and to create a comprehensive story of what is happening in tribal child welfare programs. Too often, data are collected but not fully understood or used. Training in the identification, use, interpretation, and storage of data helps ensure it can be utilized more fully in guiding tribal child welfare practice. It's common in most tribal communities for multiple data collection efforts to be underway with limited coordination between the efforts. Consolidation and coordination of data across community programs will help to provide complete information and reduce duplication of efforts. One priority cuts across relationship building and knowledge and skill building. Growing our own has become a priority in many tribal communities, with an emphasis on supporting the training and career development of tribal members who are participating in the evaluation process. The next generation of evaluation practice will involve developing infrastructure for evaluation oversight and practice in child welfare, and providing opportunities for mentorship and training to emerging tribal evaluators. The goal in addressing these priority areas is to foster a new roadmap for evaluation. That is, to build a new narrative for evaluation practice in tribal child welfare. This new narrative for evaluation practice has 6 key goals. Collaborative, culturally responsive evaluation that fits the needs of the community. Evaluation should be locally and culturally relevant. Evaluation should promote system improvement by providing information about how to better serve our children and families. Evaluation should also be guided by local questions, data, and insight. This process is challenging. However, the roadmap supports the ability of the local staff to formulate what questions to ask and what kinds of information they need to consider for program improvement to drive evaluation plans. Meaningful analysis that is firmly rooted in local questions allows evaluators to identify anticipated outcomes, select or create sensitive measures to those outcomes, and design an evaluation plan that allows clear comparison of the effects of cultural adaptation on those outcomes. Bidirectional and reciprocal learning is inherent in this process of creating a new narrative. For example, program directors should have opportunities to learn about the evaluation process and to participate in and inform local evaluations. American Indian and Alaska Native communities should have the best blend of experiences and evaluation skills that support the process that is sensitive to cultural context and committed to scientific principles. It may be helpful to compare the old method of evaluation practice to the new narrative and what we hope to accomplish. In the old narrative or the old method, program directors had little input and scientific experts directed evaluations in tribal communities. In the new narrative, programs rely on their own training in scientific methods and their own cultural expertise to partner with evaluators who are more sensitive to tribal contexts. Together, they create team-led evaluations built on mutual power and respect. As another example, in the old narrative, reports were created in scientific language that was inaccessible and lacked relevance to tribal communities. In the new narrative, evaluation narratives are created to tell the stories of program outcomes to our tribal governments and communities in language that is clear and easy to understand. And finally, in the old narrative, conclusions were generated by outside evaluators who interpreted data out of context, did not recognize our history of trauma or oppression, and had little or no input from our local cultural experts. In the new narrative, conclusions are firmly grounded in our cultural context, with program staff, cultural experts, and others in our communities engaged in interpreting findings and invested in child well-being. The roadmap provides a means for moving beyond a difficult history of fear and distrust in the evaluation process and highlights how building relationships, knowledge, and skills can create a new narrative for evaluation in our communities.